UK. I'm based in a place up north in England called Liverpool. You may have heard of Liverpool FC, the Beatles and so on. That's me. But my work spans globally, and I've spent 18 years in the education EdTech sector. Our work focuses on evaluating the quality of education technology, EdTech solutions, and then matchmaking solutions primarily with schools, helping them find the right solutions for their needs. We've helped the Department for Education in England with their digital strategy, and we now lead the largest marketplace and evaluation platform used by hundreds of thousands of schools across the UK, across Europe, and many international schools worldwide as well. So I want to share some of the takeaways with you from the work that we do. And specifically, what can South Korea learn from this? Now, a quick raise of hands again. Who's from schools, K-12? Hands in the air. Educators. Anyone from government? Anyone from companies, EdTech companies? Okay, great. Mostly companies here, so I'll focus on that. Right, so taking a look at the context of the education of the EdTech market globally, we know that is growing year on year. A lot of this is taken from Holon IQ. Now, it's important to understand how this has affected the dynamics of the market. I have highlighted here throughout the COVID pandemic, what we saw worldwide was really high adoption of education technology solutions. Many schools switching to remote learning overnight, having to acquire solutions to make that possible very, very quickly with very little quality assurance, typically. And so what we're moving into now is a phase of more evaluation, more due diligence, more focus on the quality. We're seeing schools, particularly school group leaders, government, look at more consolidation. Why have we got 17 maths products? Do we need 17? Maybe we only need one. Maybe there's just a few. And so that has really affected the way in which the buying and selling of EdTech is taking place. We've seen an explosion of EdTech on the back of this. High opportunity. Every institution, every school is going through a long maturity journey of digital transformation. They're going to need more technology over time. But on the back of this, we've also seen a crisis of trust. Now, what do we mean by this? Because there are so many products in the market, competition is very, very high. And so naturally, companies are making big claims to say, look at me, we're the best product in the market. We're going to reduce your workload by 8 hours a week. We are the leading writing tool in the world. We can accelerate your students' progress by 2.3 times. Now, these are quotes taken from websites. I did this before I came out here today. And when I looked at the research behind the products, behind these quotes, it didn't exist. There was no evidence to really back up these claims. And if you go to most EdTech websites, you'll find many more claims like this. And so what we're seeing is the buyer is becoming concerned. They're becoming, well, there's a lack of trust, essentially, behind whether these products will actually deliver on these claims. And so buying EdTech looks a bit like this. They don't really know if it's going to have the impact that the EdTech company is claiming it will make. And what we're seeing is a lot of EdTech products come and go year on year. They arrive with great promise, but then a year later, they're gone. And some of the research behind this is taken from the EdTech Evidence Exchange in the US, showed that 85% of implementations of EdTech are failing. That is a lot of wasted money. And in a time when money is so precious, we can't afford to make these mistakes. Now, there's a lot of reasons behind why implementations fail, which we'll get into a bit later. This was taken from the Economic Times last year, that 81% of users said that they are facing trust issues when procuring and buying EdTech solutions. And a research with 10,000 teachers in the UK in January this year, 75% said they now want proof that the EdTech works. What impact will it have in my school? And so this crisis of trust is leading to a more discerning buyer, a buyer that is going to ask more questions than they've ever asked before. The focus on quality. And so they're asking questions like, does it meet my needs? Does it fit the strategy of my school? Every school has a digital strategy now, and they're all at different stages in that journey. Does your product fit the gap? Does it fit the pain points, the problems that we want to solve? Does it align with my curriculum? Does your product align with your curriculum, that the country you want to sell to right now? If it doesn't, then you're going to struggle to get the school to care about it. What kind of pedagogical approach does it provide? How does the learning take place? Can you show that to the school? Can you show what skills your platform is offering is going to improve in the students? Or maybe it's going to help the teachers reduce their workload. Will your product deliver on its promise? Those claims on that last slide. Can you evidence those claims? Because the schools are saying, show me the evidence. Show me how it's going to improve student engagement, student learning, student collaboration, parent engagement, reducing teacher workload, improving efficiencies through management tools. All of these different impact metrics matter now. Is it legal and is it safe to use? In the UK in particular, this has become a top priority now. With many AI solutions, questions around ethics, questions around how the data is managed, who owns the data? Is it stored in South Korea? Is it in the US? Is it in Europe? Lots of different regulations will look at this. And so we need to be able to, if you want to sell to these schools in the different countries, you need to make sure you align with the laws there. And this last one here is something we've seen really grow, but it's always been there. When teachers buy solutions, they will look at who else uses the solution. You might go to schools with your case studies. Maybe you have 1 to 5 case studies. Now they want you to show 100 case studies. They want you to show, does it work in a school like mine? We're a school in London, in a city. That's my environment. Can you show that it works in that environment? Can you show me it works in a rural school in the Lake District in England, very countryside based? Can you show it works in a large school with many, many students? Can you show it works with schools with high special educational needs? SEND. All of these different characteristics of the school matter when you're building your case study and you want to demonstrate it can work in different environments. And if you don't align with these questions, if you don't have good answers, sadly, you may end up here. There is a graveyard of EdTech solutions. We all know it exists. And sadly, that 85% of solutions now live here, gone. But there's a worse place than this. Maybe you're still alive. Maybe you live in the cupboard of shame. Every school has a cupboard of shame. They don't want to admit it. These are great solutions in some cases with big aspirations, great ideas, but for some reason it didn't stick. And so, unfortunately, and in some cases it's virtual cupboard of shame now, not all hardware. So how can we avoid this? Well, on the back of all of this, we're now seeing a global movement around detailed assessment and certification to really prove the quality, to make sure those solutions don't end up in the cupboard of shame or in the graveyard. In the US, there's great initiatives by organizations like ISTE, who are providing teachers with a framework to self-assess the solutions. What kind of pedagogical approach can we expect? What does the usability look like? Digital Promise are providing pedagogical certifications. When it comes to demonstrating your research, the question then becomes, how robust is the research? How big was the study? In the US, they have standards called ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act. And if you want to sell to the schools, you need to show how your research aligns with the standards. And if you don't have research that aligns with the standards, you simply won't get purchased. But this is great. It's nudging the standards, it's nudging the quality, and raising the bar in EdTech. A bit of self-promotion. I'm the CEO of Edtech Impact. We are driving standards here in the UK and in English-speaking international schools around user experience, pedagogical quality, lawfulness and safety, researched impact. We actually acquired Education Alliance Finland now, and through our partner Learning Spark, we are sharing those certifications with EdTech companies and pushing as many through it as we can. There's now an organization that's evaluating the evaluators. It's gone further, so they're providing certifications of your certifications. That's coming out of Norway. In India, we have Edtech Tolna providing detailed usability evaluations and providing standards for government. In Australia, there's Aero raising the bar on standards as well for EdTech companies. And now we have Learning Spark in South Korea. And we're also seeing great initiatives on the back of this from some of the leading ecosystem players. Jacobs Foundation have committed 40 million to try and raise standards in evidence across Europe. There's lots of acquisitions and mergers. And we're seeing NGOs and foundations and big organizations like UNICEF and Asia Development Bank creating guidelines and frameworks to help EdTech companies meet their standards. UNICEF is launching the Learning Cabinet later on this year. And that is the best of the best products make it into the Learning Cabinet, and ministries will use the Learning Cabinet to invest in, find the best solutions to roll out to millions in low to middle income countries. So there's lots happening. In the UK specifically, we've seen user reviews take over from case studies, as I mentioned before. Every single year, user reviews are having more influence in how educators and schools buy technology. Can you show how your users are rating and reviewing your solution? And this is a global trend for software generally. From Gartner Digital Markets, 98% of buyers now will be influenced by user reviews. So they're not looking for self-reported claims from the companies, they're looking to see third-party reviews that have been validated. So what can you do as a South Korean company? How can we learn from this and use it? Well, by investing in greater evidence, there are many benefits. First of all, you are independently verifying that your product is of high quality. It's great feedback. It helps you improve. It's not just about sales and marketing. It's about building the best product. And the wealth of feedback you get by investing in evidence, by working through experts and analysts and researchers, is going to help you build a stronger product. It's going to help you work and build closer with schools, co-designing that product. It's going to build a trusted brand. As we talked about earlier, there is a lack of trust in the market. So trust is paramount now. And also it's happy customers. You are working with your customers here, so building better relationships, showing them that you're investing in greater levels of research and evidence. That's only a good thing. It's going to help with your retention of customers. It's going to improve your chances of getting funding. We've seen a real surge of impact investing. And so demonstrating that you are ahead of many others in your market by investing in evidence and can prove your impact is going to make you stand out and jump to the front of the queue. And it's going to help you stand out in a competitive marketplace. So EdTech companies are coming back to the market now with those claims certified. And that is the difference. And the good news is the bar is very low. If this seems like a lot of work, don't be put off. Globally, most EdTech companies do not have evidence. So this is a chance to start now, invest in your evidence now. It takes time, it's a journey. It's about building a portfolio of evidence. It isn't I've done my evidence box tick, I'm done, I can sit back. Actually, it grows over time. How can governments support the EdTech sector? How can it build a more evidence-first ecosystem? What are we seeing other governments do? So I'm going to share, for the last part of the talk, what the UK is doing through EdTech Impact. So we provide a single destination, an independent place that educators and schools and governments trust to bring all of the evidence together, united into one platform, to help schools see what reviews and ratings, to see what evidence exists. And we use certifications as a way to motivate and nudge the EdTech companies to engage further. The more evidence you invest in, the more visibility you get. The more visibility you get, the more lead generation and sales and marketing you get. That is the model that has been created. That's how we drive an evidence-first marketplace. EdTech Impact covers hundreds of categories of technology. If it's digital, there's a category for it. What started out specifically on learning platforms has expanded into parents and pupil platforms, has expanded now into management tools around things like timetabling and classroom management, really big topics that can generate a lot of time saved for teachers. And we also now look at devices and hardware. Now, I was a bit nervous about sharing this slide because there's a lot of information. I'm going to spend a little bit of time just going through each one. So it's about evaluating quality holistically. It's not just about usability. It's about looking at all the different areas a school has a right to know about, quite frankly. If I'm an educator using a tool, I want to know what other educators like me are saying about it. I want to know, is it lawful? What does the pedagogical approach look like? In the UK, there is a movement around Edtech, pedagogical tech. And so teachers are working out, what is my pedagogical approach as an educator? What do I practice in my classroom? I want to find tools that align with my pedagogical approach. And I can only do that if I understand the pedagogical approach of the product. I don't want to have to spend months using it before I learn how it works. And so top to bottom, user experience. Now, we don't provide an open text field like review platforms outside of education do. We focus on questions around impact metrics. How is this solution being used to improve student attainment, to build student knowledge, to reduce teacher workload? We built a framework of impact metrics with University College London, a first world-class tier 1 university. And we help the EdTech companies to collect this data on a regular basis. It's about taking a pulse. What does my impact look like today? What does it look like in 100, 200, 300 different schools? And it's about taking a really agile approach and embracing transparency. Not every bit of feedback will be perfect. That's okay. In this world where everybody buys online, we all know that someone who is just 100% 5-star is not that trusted. So it's about really opening yourselves up and responding to those feedbacks. We look at the digital accessibility of the solution, the algorithmic fairness, the privacy policy. We look at the curriculum alignment. We look at the pedagogical approach, the learning engagement. This is a very Finnish-based, psychology-based methodology. It's all geared around engagement and happiness. How does the learning take place? And if it meets the standard, it gets certified. If it doesn't meet the standard, you have a 60-page report telling you how to meet the standards, telling you where the strengths are, where the weaknesses are, and what you need to do to get to that standard. It's not about sort of telling you off and saying, oh, you didn't make it, go away. It's about helping you to improve. The whole framework is designed to do that. And lastly, we look at researched impact. How robust is your research? And all the results get published transparently, openly, for educators to come in and learn. Before I buy this product, before I even engage with them, what does the pedagogical approach look like? I can learn about that. And so all of this data in one place allows and helps schools to improve their discovery of new solutions. It allows them to compare solutions side by side, apples v apples, to understand which is the right solution for me. and then connect, whether it's booking demonstrations or trials. It's about connecting the right schools and the right companies together. And for school leaders, they can now build their own EdTech impact. So they can start, maybe you're a school leader in multiple schools, they're now using EdTech impact to aggregate all of that data together and start to understand, what have we got? Where are the gaps? And importantly, and sadly, where are the overlaps? Every single school we work with, every school group, there are always overlaps. And so looking at that can be a good place to start if your priority is to save money. We start to collect a wealth of data around how the tools are being used. How is this school in my group using the solution to improve parent engagement? We look at how long the teacher has been using it, how frequently they use it. We build a better two-way communication. It's not just for the school's benefit, it's about helping the EdTech companies to learn ideas of where things are going wrong, or maybe they're suggesting ideas for improvement. Retention is a big focus now in the EdTech sector, holding on to your customers. Acquiring customers is quite hard, so you need to hold on to who you've got. So you need to listen to them and understand where it's going wrong before it goes wrong. So they're telling you in advance. We look at whether the products have been used, and we share this with the schools. So if a product has been, we've had it in our system and it's not being used at all, there's two things we want to do. We either want to improve the implementation and make sure people are using it, or we're going to get rid of it. This transparency is helping schools streamline their EdTech. And how long are people using it for? And who are the power users? Who are the digital champions in my school ecosystem that we all need to speak to, who's using this product really well? We're building training libraries now aligned to impact metrics. So not a video around how to log in, it's a video around how to reduce teacher workload. And we're working with EdTech companies to help them build these training libraries around impact. Compliance, as I mentioned, is very important here. And most schools don't have a central way to look at the compliance of their solutions. Now they do. And so it's really important that your product has the right policies in place, because all of this will get seen by the schools now, and they will nudge you and say, hey, we know you haven't got this policy. And spend. Every school will, if it's not a private school and it's a state school, they tend to have budget issues. And so looking at which products are coming up for renewal, but which products are part of the overlaps, or which products are being underutilized. All of this is really good data for the school leader, the top-down owner, to start to make decisions to streamline. And so before I finish, I want to mention that we have partnered with Learning Spark here in South Korea, and we are able to offer all of these certifications now with their support. We want to see as many companies as possible open themselves up to evaluation and prepare themselves for the international marketplace as well. We're speaking to Kotra about having the finance there to support your progression through the evaluations and the certifications. We have a good example in SAM Corporation if you want examples of companies that have been through the certification. And for governments, we are talking to officers of education about how we can help them better monitor their EdTech, because that is the direction of travel around the world, and we would love to be able to help South Korean governments too. I hope that has provided some useful insight into what's going on in the UK and around the world. Thank you for having me. And you can connect with us on LinkedIn, or this QR code will take you to our various websites. Thank you again.
네, 영국의 에듀테크 실증 기업 에듀테크 임팩트의 마이클 포쇼 대표님의 발표 들어보았습니다.